Good evening, and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. This evening, it is Tuesday the 27th of May, myself, Baz, and all you adoring Celtic fans out there. There's a lot of Celtic news we want to talk about tonight, but before we do that, I want you to listen to this that happened around about an hour ago. Let me just do this.
I mean, obviously Celtic, they're aware of what's happening at the other side of the city, and obviously there could be some massive changes, but they're more looking inside than outside. And obviously they failed to win the treble. They still had won a double and made progress in the Champions League, but there are still substantial funds available for Brendan Rodgers to invest this summer. And for the right man, obviously he's looking at several positions. He's wanting a winger, a couple of midfielders in the first instance, and obviously there's money there to spend. And they showed last season with Arne Engels coming in as a record signing, and I think, my understanding is, if the right player is available, then they would be prepared to go above that price again this summer, sort of thing, for the right player. So, I mean, obviously Celtic want to show ambition, they want to make further progress. And as it stands, this is Brendan Rodgers' last season, unless he signed a new contract. So I think they'll be doing all they can to try and convince him to stick around for a bit longer. That means showing a bit of ambition.
Let me throw this comment at you. Jerry says the Matt O'Reilly, Frimpong and Kyogo sell-ons alone should be enough to fund at least one record-breaking buy this summer. I'm expecting at least two over the £11 million barrier. You look at the money Celtic have made this season, the Champions League, sales from last season.
Using the right weight matters. The body pod lets you ease.
That's enough of that nonsense then, isn't it?
Unreasonable, I would put forward.
It's not, but honestly, we've been having a chat over the last couple of days, and I've been saying I think it's going to be fascinating to see what route Celtic go down, what strategy they employ in the transfer market this summer. Is it a repeat of what Brendan Rodgers managed to sort of force them into, encourage them into 12 months ago, when he was saying push out the boat a little bit, spend a little bit more, I'll get you a return. You know, if you're brave enough, if you're prepared to just, pay that little bit extra premium, I'll get you players in here that you'll make a lot of money from. I think that's how it was sold last summer, and I think, as we said the other day, he might have an issue in his hands if he was called into the boardroom to assess this season. If the board said to him, well, what do you think we'd realistically achieve if we put Adam Ida and Arne Engels up for sale? Would we get money back? And so that makes me wonder, and I've been speculating a little bit, it'll be interesting to see, do Celtic continue along that road, encouraged by Brendan Rodgers, or do they say to Brendan Rodgers, listen, that hasn't worked for us. We prefer spreading the risk a little bit. If we've got 15, 20 million to spend, we'd rather spend it in 4 or 5 than in 2, because that's been Celtic's model. But so I'm really interested in the information that you're picking up, because that suggests very strongly that Brendan Rodgers has won the argument, and that they're going to back him again in the way that he wishes to be backed.
Well, they've been down the road of project players and some work for what everyone, maybe 5 or 6 don't work, and probably with a longer term it probably end up, time you tally transfer fees, it probably costs as much, if not more, you know what I mean? But the big ones, the headline ones you get back in, always make money. Going back to Arne Engels and Adam Ida, you're saying would they get their money back? I think they probably would, and they might even get more, because it's not about, a lot of clubs, I'm not looking at players as closely in terms of actually watching them. It's a lot down to the data and the stats, and the data is good, and the stats are good, and a lot of players are picked up in that. So I don't think there'd be any issue in selling either of them for the same money or in excess of what they got. I know we looked at it and said maybe they've not hit the heights of a £9 million striker or an £11 million playmaker, but I think the bigger picture is teams are led by data. And if our data is good, and these guys have also played in the Champions League, that adds a value as well. So they've played at the top level, and I don't think there'll be any issues in selling those 2 players you mentioned.
At a profit tomorrow.
A profit, yep.
Wow.
So there you go. There you have it. Scott Burns says that we could sell Adam Ida tomorrow. He says we could sell Adam Ida tomorrow and make a profit. When you look at the stats of Adam Ida, I will go with him with that one actually. The stats of Adam Ida are actually quite good. The return for goal per game ratio, the fact that he scored 20 goals this season, from the starting position that he had, considering that he was number 2 striker for the majority of the season. It's the modern day football, isn't it? Modern day football does look at stats. So tell me what you think. See, when you start looking at the data, Ingles was top assist in the Champions League. Yeah. It's unbelievable. But anyway, that's not the big news tonight. There is a bid incoming for a Celtic defender. Yes, a Celtic defender. It looks like there is a bit coming in, a bid for Stephen Welsh. Yeah, it looks like CV Michelin want to sign Stephen Welsh on a permanent basis. Yes! The cries go out. Stephen Welsh is a player that's obviously came through the system at Celtic, but he turned around to Brendan Rodgers and said, look, I want to go and play more football. The Michelin sporting director, Dennis Hendricks, has indicated that getting Welsh back to the club is priority. Who'd have thought it? Who'd have thunked it? Who'd have thunked it? He helped the Belgians into the European playoffs after he made the move in January. His success at Michelin hasn't gone unnoticed, with other Belgian clubs and European clubs also keeping an eye on the situation. Will it be another Jack Hendry? Can Stephen Welsh be another Jack Hendry? He'll leave the club on a cheap and he'll go to have an absolutely fantastic career, and we'll look back in a couple of years' time and go, why the fuck did we let him go? Can Welsh do that? Can he do a Liam Scales and turn his career around? He's young enough, but it's good to see that Liam Scales is one player that's wanted. Stuart Carey says, for fuck's sake, man, I was hoping it was Scales. Danny Cassie says, well, my boys and girls, good to say, that Adam is class. And I know they're going to say, I hope we don't get rid of him. We're not going to get rid of Adam either. Stevie Clark will call him up then, lol. Welsh is going for 30 million. I can't see that, but that is the news tonight that Brendan Rodgers may or may not have wanted. And it's interesting to think about the way that it's a massive season, and all the chat before the end of the season. People at press conferences were asking Brendan Rodgers, are you going to sign a new contract? That's one of the most important questions of the summer. Will you sign a new contract? And never mind other players. There was talk about Dice Maida signing a new contract before the end of the season. Well, that hasn't happened. One that is looking like it may happen is the Jeffrey Sloop one. That seems to be getting a bit more, but it may not, because Leicester City have indicated that they're ready to battle Celtic out for the defender. Have him. Just take him. Just fucking take him. Just take him. In other Celtic news this evening, Matthias from Brøndby, yes, Matthias Fitzgarden, it's been suggested that Frankfurt are ahead of the queue when it comes to signing the Brøndby striker. And it's all coming down to one thing. It's not the financial strain on the transfer itself. It's the wage bill. It's the wage bill. It's the wages that he wants, and that's why he will not be coming to Celtic. So it looks like Matthias is one that's going to be strucken off the transfer list this summer. As it might change. It might change until a deal is done with Frankfurt. We're still in there, but it's wages. And that's what it comes down to. Celtic are not willing to break the wage structure, which is at £37,000 per week for their top players. They're not willing to burst that. They're not willing to go above it. And they've told Matthias that, that's the wages that you're going to get at Celtic. If there's a bidding war, it could force Celtic into a decision. It could force Celtic into a decision to either match the wage given to the likes of Callum McGregor, Cameron Carter-Vickers, as a young striker coming into the club. And Matthias would have I mean, and he's never done it at a high level. You know, he's scored in European football, but I'm not too sure. And if it comes down to just wages, we all know that Celtic aren't going to break the wage bill. There's no way that Celtic can beat a club in the Bundesliga. They can for wages. We've done it with Arne Engels. We brought Arne Engels from Germany, so you know. It can be done. Nico Kuhn. Well, he's one that was in Germany also. Brendan Rodgers will not sign a new contract, says Paul Baird. Paul, I'm starting to actually think that he won't. Joseph Davis says, Baz, I think the ship has sailed in January for Mateus. I think so also. Baz, what's the 2-3 years we've been chasing? Yeah, it is 2 or 3 years. That boat sailed last summer, to be honest. I think it has. It puts, with everything that's going on and the amount of players that are on their way out of Celtic, I mean, that's possibly 2 that's going to be confirmed in the next week. First one's obviously been the goalkeeper, Scott Bain. But if the next one to leave is Stephen Welsh, it's basically it's opening the floodgates of players leaving, and I mean that in no uncertain terms. I mean, we spoke about it last night about how many players could ultimately leave Celtic this summer. It puts Brendan Rodgers in a very difficult situation going into the last year of his contract. He either wants Celtic to back him tremendously and bring in top quality players to make the first team better, and you could argue the fact that has Arne Engels made the first team better? Statistically, yes, he has. He's a young player that we could sell on for more money. Adam Ida, the stats tell you, person that scored 20 goals a season. People forget that he scored 20 goals. I mean, people say, oh, he's shite, he's not Celtic standard, he's this and that and the next thing. For a young guy that never got much game time, I mean, I don't think he even played as much games as Kyogo over the course of the season. But anyway, it is what it is. Celtic have also been linked with a 19-year-old Japanese left-back also. So we're getting linked with more Japanese players as a left-back, a 19-year-old. Not too sure about that one. But anyway, Scott Brown has been talking about Paul's favourite. Yeah, Scott Brown has been talking about, yes, I'm going to have to say his name, Greg Taylor. Scott Brown has said that it's maybe time for Greg to go and see Pastures New. Looks like he has played his... fuck Greg Taylor. It's over under me. He's gone. It is gone. It's one that's in the past. So, with new grounds to be seen next season. I've never talked about that one. Where is that? Let me just get it. The season 25-26. I'm just going to put this up on the screen, actually, because there's a couple of new away games. Yes, a new away games for all you guys that go to the games. And I'm just not jealous much at all. Save the downloads. I'll just add this here. And I'll show you some of the new away grounds. One of them is not new, but where is it? There we go. There, we're back. We're back. We stayed on. Are we still on? We're still on. We're still on. Are we still here? It's saying that I'm live. It is saying that I'm live. Yes. We stayed on. Yeah, we've managed to keep it. Fuck's sake. I just lost a shitload of fucking people on the live. Damn, I fucking Mac Mini thing. Yeah, all good. Breaking into a sweat. Let's get that window open. Fuck's sake. My God. Let me 2 seconds. Right, let's try and not press the wrong button this time, and we'll bring that image up of remove that of the new grounds that we're going to be going to, and back to a plastic pitch. How do you feel about that? With getting rid of the plastic pitches was absolutely phenomenal, and I think that it should not be a plastic pitch. Livingston have said that they are bringing back, yes, they're bringing back a plastic pitch to Scottish football, and there is the teams that will be going to next season in the SPFL. Obviously, there's Aberdeen. This is the teams that's in the SPFL. Obviously, Celtic, Dundee United, Falkirk. A return to Falkirk after many, many years. Falkirk with those 3 stands. Yep, 3 stands. Way. Celtic will obviously get the one that's the tallest with the 2 tiers. But yeah, back to Falkirk. A nice, easy away game for people. Hearts, Hibs, Kilmarnock and Livingston with the plastic pitch. Motherwell, Sevco and St Mirren. It's going to be interesting having lost Ross County. Talking to the guys today on the chat on WhatsApp. A lot of people a lot of them are saying that look, Ross County they outlasted themselves in the SPFL, and especially when we were playing midweek games up at Ross County, it was getting a bit of a joke, not getting back to like 3 a.m. So from that perspective, they were looking forward to not going back to Ross County, and that's the scheduling. There should never be a midweek game up in Ross County, never. No team should have to play a midweek game unless it's Aberdeen or maybe Dundee United, where it's still a couple of hours drive for them. But putting midweek games up in Ross County is just absolutely bonkers. And it's not like Spain where you can fly in and out of the bloody thing for cheap as chips. But anyway, it is what it is. It is what it is. So that is the teams. Did you go for a Tomcat pass? Yeah, I went and just fucked about it, really. The last time Brendan was here, he couldn't get a win away to Livy. Yeah, that's right. He also can't get a one up in Dundee United either. But anyway, it's going to be a long, long summer once we see if Brendan Rodgers, one, does stick around. And if he does stick around, because do the board seriously back Brendan Rodgers? Now, I see that somebody said that, talking about Ange, the Ajax want Ange. And Ange turned around, and this is why I don't like Postecoglou. Ange turned around and said, yeah, my 3rd season's better than my 2nd. So all you folk that went, hey, go Ange. He turned around and said that. He said, my 3rd season's better than my 2nd. And you got to remember, in the 2nd season at Celtic, he won the treble. And it was Lanky that mentioned it. And he said that on the open top bus. Ange said that on the open top bus for Spurs. He says that the 3rd season's always better than the 2nd. Pity when he was asked that at Celtic, he never said that at Celtic, did he? So see all your Ange love, stick it up your arse and smoke it. Anyway, the fact that Brendan Rodgers is going to go into his 3rd season, we all know what happened the last time. He never lasted the 3 seasons. He will last this one. He's not going to walk away before the end of the season, that's for sure. But do the board back him the way that they backed him last summer? And that's the big worry for Celtic fans. The board will only spend big if the Burns takeover is real. I think that's the worrying thing for Celtic fans. Ange won the treble and left, done everything he could. Fuck him, he's gone, bye, says Big Rab. Yeah, but the fact that he came out and said that, all I'm doing, Rab, is taking into consideration about the end of 2 seasons. At the end of the 2nd season with Celtic, he never come out and said, yeah, the 3rd year's going to be even better. We're going to go into the Champions League and do something. Nah, but he's saying that down at Spurs. He's a journeyman. 3 plastic pitches means even less games for Cameron Carter-Vickers. Yes, because we've got Kilmarnock, plastic pitch. Livingston, plastic pitch. And who else has got the plastic pitch? Falkirk, have they got a plastic pitch? Surely not. Oh, Jesus. And Kieran Tierney. Kieran Tierney never used to like a plastic pitch. Remember, when he was at Celtic the first time, Brendan Rodgers used to drop him when we went to Kilmarnock, when they had the plastic pitch. They still got a plastic pitch. Yeah, they do, don't they? Yeah, it's Kilmarnock. So it'll be Kilmarnock. Has Falkirk got a plastic pitch? Surely not. Falkirk do. They shouldn't be allowed. I want it to go back to the old days, where you had to have... Do you remember when there was teams that weren't going to get into the SPFL because you needed to have a 10,000-seater stadium and a grass pitch? And then, thanks for that, Michelle, just confirming that I hate... Do you know what? Can you remember that video that done the rounds a few years ago with the Falkirk fans fighting at the train station? And it was like, put 'em up, put 'em up. And then somebody put the Teletubbies tune over the top of it. And I'm sure it was Dunfermline they were maybe trying to fight at the train station, and it was the worst ever. I was going to actually think somebody needs to do a short of that of them welcoming the hardest ultras in Scottish football back to the SPFL. Falkirk. Oh, fucking Jesus. 6 games minimum on the plastic pitch. There should be no thing as plastic pitch. Yeah, I mean, I was going to do a poll, but there's no need. Wee Martindale is now, because he's a prick, promises he'll do everything this season to beat Celtic, more or less on his own. Patch. Bugger him. Is he still at Livingston? That Martindale. I'd love to go back to the old days. Well, it'd be young again, says Paradise Man. 3 plastic pitches are allowed. It is disgusting, isn't it? Kieran Tierney and Cameron Carter-Vickers won't play on those pitches. They shouldn't be allowed. If we want to make Scottish football better, if we want to improve Scottish football, plastic pitches surely have to get ruled out. Surely when you come in to the top league, you have to get rid of a plastic pitch. Anyway. I'm just reading this. There's quite a few talking about this Japanese left back, the young boy, a 19-year-old. I mean, that says that our own young team, if we're going out and looking at a young 19-year-old left back, it says that our own youngsters are just not to the standard. Are just not to the standard, which is disappointing from Celtic. It is disappointing. Because there has to be young guys at that age that have been at the club. This guy represented Japan at under 17, under 19 and under 20 levels. He's several clubs, including PSG and Atalanta, are looking at him. If he's getting first team football, there's no way that he's going to come to Celtic. We'll end up with Jeffrey Sloop. I mean, people could talk about speculation all they want about a 19-year-old Japanese guy. We're going to get 32-year-old Jeffrey Sloop just to see Brendan Rodgers at the last. Tillio reckons he's coming for a place in the start. No, he doesn't. He knows the talks have already happened. Tillio, he mentioned that about 3 months ago, that he knows that talks have already taken place for him to leave Celtic on a permanent basis. He's not coming back to the starting lineup. That's just nonsense. Most pitches have plastic in them nowadays. Level of plastic depends on the price. Cheaper for full plastic over hybrid. I think you'll find that Celtic is just grass. Our youngsters don't have a chance. Pathway manager leaving could be the best thing for the youth players. Could it be the best thing for the youth players, Rab? Kieran Tierney's here on the 1st of July. Yeah, I knew that because that's when the transfer window opens. I said that the other day. Celtic, you can't officially, you can sign players, but you can't announce them until the 1st of July. So the 1st of July, you're going to get Tierney coming in, you're going to get Ross Dohan coming in. That's the two that we know of. Before then, you're going to get... And the thing is Celtic, over the last couple of seasons, haven't said the goodbyes on social media to players. They've just let them sort of disappear. Celtic has Astro through their pitch, says Liam. Well, there you go. Celtic had a hybrid pitch in recent times. Yeah. Stuart says, exactly, Baz, Sloop will be announced next month along with Dohan. Yeah. Baz, seen you yesterday on TikTok. Oh, God, Dave, don't do that. Nothing to do with football. I've been speaking about bringing youth players in for the last 5 years. Lanky, we've all been speaking about it. The thing is the players that we're bringing through, I mean, that's a conversation for a completely different day, because is it the standard of the youth player, or is it the standard of the coaching? Is the youth team at Celtic being coached correctly? I mean, it's okay having ex-players at the club as management. When you look at it, I mean, Stephen McManus is head coach for the B team, and Colin Meldrum is the B team goalkeeping coach, and that's it. That's it. That's the two. I mean, Stephen McManus, I'm sorry, but I mean, as an ex-player, sorry, I'm just looking at Elena. Oh, David Healy. God, remember him? I didn't know that he was the Celtic women's assistant manager. Got to give Elena some love on the channel. That's sick. Swedish, do you know what I mean? Up the Swedes. Let's get rid of that picture. We'll put, not that one. This one. There we go, just to have something better. So there, yeah, the head coaches of the B team, Stephen McManus. He's the head coach of the B team, and Colin Meldrum is the goalkeeping coach. Adam Sandler, remember him? I forgot he was even at Celtic. So the first team coach set up is obviously the manager is Brendan Rodgers. John Kennedy is the men's assistant team manager, and then you've got Adam Sadler, who's the men's coach, and then you've got Gavin Strachan, who's the men's coach, and then you've got Stevie Woods, who's the legendary goalkeeping coach. I mean, Stevie Woods is in there with the brickwork, isn't he? He's in there with the paint drying. I mean, he's been there that long that, I mean, Woods he's just in there, isn't he? But anyway, when you look at McManus, is McManus really the man to make younger players better? He was a shit defender. So maybe that makes him a good manager. I don't know. When you look at it, Celtic have got, I mean, McManus had a longer career than John Kennedy. But John Kennedy was captain of the youth team that McManus was in. John Kennedy was a better player than McManus. So I don't know. Is it just an old boys act at Celtic just now? Is it just about getting players back that, you know, you played for the club, you're fantastic, you're one of us? I suppose you could say that McManus came through the system, he knows what it takes. But as a person to make players better, and that's what the B team is meant to be for, progressing the players, I'm not too sure. Not too sure about it at all. Anyway, he's the water boy. We'll take more coaches. Let's forget about Matthias. That ship sailed. Yes, it is. It is that. Is it just me, or has anybody else got a crush on Elena? Is it just me? I don't. It's just joking. I'm joking. Jesus God. Surely we should be looking at the Croatian and Czech Republic for technical players. You think so? Is there a current banning? I've never even seen them. Oh well, maybe he is. Is Lex a wee hun, is he? Guess what? He subscribed to this channel just to get that one comment. And just like that, you're gone. Where's the doctor? Tisdale, he's not even mentioned. Well, he's not in the coaching staff, is he? Tisdale's not mentioned at all. Yeah. Tisdale's not even mentioned on the Celtic website. That's a bit bizarre, isn't it? Liaisons officer. Let's try and do a search for Paul Tisdale. On the Celtic site. Oh, that's just helps me spell it right. Club news. There's only three bits of information about Paul Tisdale on the Celtic website. When he was appointed head of football operations on the 16th of October 2024, and the manager spoke about him on the 18th of October, and then the 29th of October he was then mentioned. But there's nothing else about him on the Celtic website. That has to be the most bizarre thing ever. Where's partners? Safeguarding pools. He isn't at all, isn't he? There's just no mention of him. He's like a ghost. Club partners. No. He's like a ghost. He is like a ghost on the Celtic website. Paul Tisdale. Interesting one. And staff list. Not sure. Brendan Rodgers will stay. If the Celtic board back him, says Chris Fraser. Baz, how much are we expecting from Frimpong transfer to Liverpool? In the region between 5 and 10 million, I believe. It'll be in between that because seemingly what we've the 30%. There's it depends on what he sold for. Some people are saying that the sale's only 29 million. 22 from Benfica. He was the video analyst. Can you do a set? I don't think he even comes up on the search. Lanky, I'll try. Video analyst. No results found at all. There you go. Nothing in the search. On the Celtic website. Celtic TV. Anyway. See, there's a lot of Celtic sites jumping on the story now of this young lad. And I wish they wouldn't do that because you're going to end up with Jeffrey Sloop. Here's another one. 19-year-old Japanese player seems to fit into the recent transfer template. Is that what we need? I mean, I know we're bringing back Kieran Tierney, but surely there's a young lad coming through the system at Celtic that... I mean, what does it say to this 19-year-old? But then again, we brought in Frimpong at a time that Kieran Tierney was at the club and we sold him for 10 million. And if it means there's no deviation from the way that Celtic are going to go around their transfer business this summer, if we do, I mean, how much money is this young lad going to cost? He's known for his speed and strength, play, youth academy. This season's Europa Conference League, he played 11 games, scored 2, helping them get to the semi-final. Shows his potential on a European stage. It's the Conference League. Come on. The Conference League. Johnny Kenny was scoring in the Conference League. He's a left footer. He's got the similar profile to Jeremy Frimpong. There's no way are we going to get this guy on the cheap. We're not going to get him the same as... Remember, we got Frimpong for 300 grand. We knew a clause in his contract when he was at the youth system at Man City. There's no chances that going to happen again, that you're going to get some young lad in for 300 grand at 19. Not a chance. Not when you spent 11 million on Arne Engels, who's 2 years older. Don't believe it. Bring back Moritz, gents. He's a free. This guy Tisdale sounds as anonymous as Rangers trophy room. Yeah, it is. But the fact that Celtic made an announcement saying that he was here. Also linked with a left back from FC Rapid Baz. Well, there you go. Made over 100 appearances. It's at the time of year we're going to get until Kieran Tierney signs the contract. We're going to get linked with every left back going. People know that Celtic could be possibly in the market for a left back, but when you look at the players that are at the club, maybe this is why their pathway manager left, because he's like, well, do you know what's the point of a pathway manager at Celtic? Because young players aren't getting the opportunity. Now, is that down to Brendan Rodgers? Is it down to the whole Celtic setup? There's more and more questions as we head into this summer and the transfer markets, the transfer market and this transfer speculation. It just opens up even more and more questions about what's going on in the background of Celtic. That's the questions that should be getting asked. It's not about a 19-year-old Japanese boy coming in. It's wait a minute. Why are we bringing in a 19-year-old Japanese boy that's been playing in Germany or wherever when we've had 19-year-old Celtic players going out to Admiral Wacker and other teams to make them better to then come back and slip into the first team? It's not happening, is it? So there's something then fundamentally wrong with the B team set up. There's something fundamentally wrong with the way that we're putting players out on loan to improve the players. That's the kind of questions that we should be asking. Not about how much money we're going to spend in the transfer market. Not about getting this young guy in as backup to Kieran Tierney. You know, it's nuts. As long as we're no longer keeping Taylor, we're not keeping Greg Taylor. That ship's sailed. Kaiser's in the house. We should go out and search the market for a solid built physical animal and have him in KT understudy and play the league games. Probably pay about $3 million. A physical animal at $3 million. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Dane Murray at Dundee. Is it Dane Murray? What is this? The big ginger lad. He's a striker, is he no? That big ginger thing. He's a lump, isn't he? He is a lump. He gives 110%. Yeah, he is a lump. Bring in his uncle Kyogo. I noticed that Kyogo has been linked with a club down in England, Brighton, I think it is. I'm not too sure. It's maybe not Brighton. I seen the fact that Kyogo has been linked with a club down south. Frimpong was a great buy. Oh my God, 300,000. You didn't know that? Yeah, we got Frimpong for 300,000, and I thought it was. I couldn't believe at the time. Dane Murray's a centre back. The boy up in Dundee. Is he a centre back? The boy up in Dundee. Yet he causes us all sorts of trouble up front. He's no better than Scales, is he? We can't have two gingers in the team. It's nothing against gingers. Before we start, right? Nothing against gingers, but you can't have two ginger nappers at the back. Frimpong was a steal at 300k. It was the deal of the century, and I could always remember when we sold him for 10 million. I was like, he's hardly got a game for Celtic. He used to spend half his time on camera going, oh my days, and I'm like, this is just a wee nippy young cunt. He's going to do my head in. And then next minute he's sold for 10 million, and I'm like, nobody raised an eyebrow either. No Celtic fan raised an eyebrow and went, oh, it's Bournemouth, that was it. I knew it was a B. It was Bournemouth. Thank you, Michelle, for keeping me right, as always. It's good to have a strong woman on the channel keeping me right, just like I've got next door. Anyway, we should really take Elena down, shouldn't we? Oh, you can tell it's what is it? Because it's no pre-season, it's no post-season. Is it post-season now? It's just it's that empty gap, isn't it? Talking about gaps, where's Rangers? I can't take it down because I've not got a right image up because I've got a wrong. There's Brendan, that will do. Get Brendan back on. Save the night, Brendan. Anyway, I think I'll keep doing the lives at this time of night. Please take it down, says Stuart. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. Lanky says players in Scotland that I would go for would be Millerwell, Motoff, Clarkson, Aberdeen, Hibs, Armstrong at Kelly, Penrith at Hearts. There could be the Penrith at Hearts. That could be a goer, that one. But I'm not too sure. Put up Rangers pitch of the season award again. I deleted that off my laptop, off the computer completely. You'll be divorced in the morning. Put your tongue away. Not a chance. Not a chance. She knows what I'm all about. It's all about entertainment. So yeah, anyway, we move on. So Leicester, will Leicester beat Celtic to Jeffrey Sloop? Let's hope so. Stephen Welsh is on the wanted list for, that's the big news of the evening. Stephen Welsh looks like he will be the first defender to leave Celtic this summer, as Michelin see him as their number one priority. And it's not only Michelin that want him. If the deal doesn't happen with Michelin, the Michelin sporting director Dennis Hendricks has indicated that he wants Welsh back to the club as a major priority. Oof. And if it hasn't gone unnoticed, if he doesn't go to Michelin, other European clubs are keeping a close eye on the situation for the 25-year-old who scored his first ever goal for Michelin in the final appearance. It seems that there was a lot of people that are connected to Celtic that scored goals in their final games for their club. Obviously, Kieran Tierney scoring for Arsenal. And one of the interesting things is that Kieran Tierney said to his manager, that I'm going to score in the last game. I'm going to score for Arsenal in my last game. And he did it. Fair play to him. Did you know our ex-captain, leader, legend Brody was a Hun? When he was a kid. Do you know what I mean? And I still don't believe it, because Huns... See, Lanky, I'm going to go against that, because I can remember when I stayed in Dunfermline and Bruni had just signed for Celtic. He was out in a nightclub in Dunfermline and there was Huns actually gave him a slap. And Bruni left the club because he wasn't wanting any hassle. But the guy was all over Facebook at the time, boasting about it. And it was Huns. And they were like, fucking Fenian. And they were calling him a Fenian because he was at Hibs. You know, he ran about with all the Hibbies. And this is why I'm questioning the whole fact that he was a Hun. I don't believe that he was a Hun. There's more chance of him being a Hibbie, to be perfectly honest. He ran about with all the Hibbies. I'm just putting it out there as a fifer. So anyway, but Bruni, I don't think he's a Hun. Not a chance. Bruni has a Rangers tattoo on his calf. No, he doesn't. How many times have you seen his calves? Bruni doesn't have a tattoo on his calf. Jesus. That's one of the oldest ones that's ever gone about. It's the oldest one. How many times do you see Bruni in training with his socks done at his ankles? Not a single tattoo on his calf. But never mind. John Shirley says, sell Arnie Engels, buy Lennon Miller and Mark O'Hara for St Mirren, and Standards in good stead for Kalmark and Hatate. Lanky says, Bruni stayed in Hollybeath back in the day. Did he know wear a Jers tap? He's definitely got a Jers tattoo, 100%. Yeah, he was brought up in Hollybeath. It's Hillabeath, not Hull. Hillabeath. He was brought up there. I can't. Greg Taylor's fucking dad's a Rangers fan. He hates him watching playing for Celtic. You know, Taylor must have been a Hun, but Taylor brings his kid onto the pitch with a Celtic strip on. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, we move on. Bruni's a Hibbie. He's a Hibbie all day long. Get Miller. Fuck. Right, anyway. How long have we been on? 46 minutes tonight. There's been quite a lot of people on tonight. I'm going to keep up this night, the night time, because I don't think there's many other Celtic channels will be doing it all during the summer. So anyway, Bruni's a Hun scalper. Exactly. Bruni's a Hun scalper, and he loved nothing more than winding up the Huns. So Anyway, I know he stayed near the shops in the Bend. I used to deliver papers in Fife back in the day. He stayed just down for the shops. The wee row of cottages heading out of Hillabeath. I used to play in the big grass parks right at the back, because I knew somebody who stayed about 2 doors down for his mum. Like all Fairweather Huns, we told them their grandkids would be Celtic fans. Yep, Greg's dad was a Rangers man and his mum a Celtic fan. Well, there you go. A lot of their children will be Celtic fans. Yeah, that's won't be any more Scottish when Brendan says Aberdeen keeper was to make the European numbers. I think there might be more Scottish players come in this summer. I think obviously Lennon Miller will be one that comes in. If that deal happens. I mean, I could play that interview that we played at the beginning. Let me just see if I could go back to where it started. Is it there? Ah, shut up. Damn adverts.
She asked me about Celtic's transfer.
Obviously, the funds available for this
Right.
team. Obviously, there could be some massive changes, but they're more looking inside than outside. And obviously, they failed to win the treble. They still had won a double and made progress in the Champions League. But there are still substantial funds available for Brendan Rodgers to invest this summer. And for the right man, obviously, he's looking at several positions. He's wanting a winger and a couple of midfielders in the first instance. And obviously, there's money there to spend. And they showed last season with Arnie Engels coming in as a record signing. And I think, my understanding is, if the right player is available, then they'd be prepared to go above that price again.
And push out the boat a little bit, spend a little bit more, I'll get you a return. You know, if you're brave enough, if you're prepared to just, pay that little bit extra premium, I'll get you players in here that you'll make a lot of money from. I think that's how it was sold last summer, and I think, as we said the other day, he might have an issue in his hands if he was called into the boardroom to assess this season that Brendan Rodgers has won the argument and that they're going to back him again in the way that he wishes to be backed.
Well, they've been down the road of project players and some work for what everyone, maybe 5 or 6 don't work, and probably with a longer term it probably ends up, time you tally transfer fees, it probably costs as much, if not more, you know what I mean? But the big ones, the headline ones you get back in, always make money. Going back to Arnie Engels and Adam Eder, you're saying would they get their money back? I think they probably would, and they might even get more, because it's not about, a lot of clubs, I'm not looking at players as closely in terms of actually watching them. It's a lot down to the data and the stats.
Let me hold on, Daniel.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Burzy, there's one name that I think I can hear Celtic fans screaming at the laptop right now. When you talk about breaking through a record spend barrier on a potential target for this summer, is Kvistgaarden the guy that's in your mind?
I think he would want to be on there, but my information just now is that it's more likely to be Eintracht Frankfurt than Glasgow Celtic, but the door has not been closed, a deal's not been done, so
Celtic have the money to compete.
Celtic have the money. If Celtic really wanted to do that deal, they could go and do it tomorrow, or when the transfer window opens, should I say. So it's all, and obviously I don't think the issue is really the transfer fees, is it? It's more the wages and keep players within the structure. That's an issue, is it not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when you start buying 10 and 11 million pound players, you've got to pay them more, and then when you break the structure of more the natural spending of the transfer fee. If you get somebody for, let's say, 12 million, a striker, and he's still the same sort of money as Callum McGregor and that, I think they'll do that tomorrow. I think it's the wage structure is more the issue.
So, yeah, that's it. The wage structure, that's Celtic. That's what's holding us back this summer. Will Celtic go into the transfer market and bring in fantastic striker? Brendan Rodgers is wanting 2 midfield players. What does that say about the midfielder players at Celtic? What does it say for Rio Hatate? I think he'll be sold. What does it say for Luke McCown? He's a squad player. What does it say for Arne Engels? Are Celtic expecting a big bumper bid to come in for Arne Engels this summer? Are they protecting themselves in the future for the fact that Arne Engels may be sold at the late end of the transfer window? And are Celtic just thinking that our midfield is completely shite and we need better players? I think that's more the chance. Michelle wants to bring back Kyogo. Oof. Why you even listen to anything to do with the record and Keith Jackson? Because they were talking about Celtic transfer policy and the way that Celtic are losing out to our number one target. That's been our number one target for a couple of years. Anyway, on that note, that's me done and dusted for this evening. There's been over 1,600 people on the live this evening. Absolutely fantastic. We'll be back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Celtic Park Time. I'll also be around first thing tomorrow no, it'll be a pre-recorded video tomorrow morning because I've got work to do. Anyway, on that note, have an absolutely fantastic evening, Celtic fans. You're all obsessed with fees and money, for fuck's sake, says Kieran. That's the way that Celtic are run. Anyway, have a fantastic evening, Celtic fans, wherever you are. Where's Stephen Johnson tonight? Here's the thing. He's in. That's the first of me seeing you, Stephen. Even the Hubble telescope couldn't see Sevco coming. Oh, Jesus.